It makes me feel so happy to see you all here, sitting down in front of me. And do you know why? It reminds me of my school days. My school days, when I found it more comfortable to stand up than sit down. And now, mums and dads, may I introduce you to his workshop, the mayor, Mr. Weston. I'm sure you'll agree that Mr. Weston is a super mayor.
Just see for yourself.
Grand old lady of the screen is here in her most mismanagerial role.
Let me say that I'm to be boss of this hotel?
Yes.
And that everything I say goes?
Yes.
And the shirt goes to start with.
The Riley we love is reeling in circles once again. Riling like Donald Duck, rip-roaring like old Riley.
I'm in the fire brigade!
Fire brigade coming up.
To hear again the ripple of the trout stream, the women in the
Daughter Kitty helps to smooth the ruffles with a song or two in a story that's as gay and gagful and carefree as a summer's holiday. A grand cast join in the fun and frolics.
Hello, Mr. Riley. There has been a lovely smash and grab a hold of this wonder diamond. Here's gone.
Hurrah, 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 hurrah! Old Mother Riley's really in trouble. Suspected of robbery, she steals your laughter. Watch police headquarters third degree her and run themselves hoarse.
All right, Mrs. Riley. Go.
I should think so. Keeping me up till this hour of the night. What will the neighbors say?
Yes, so here we are, old Mother Riley and her daughter Kitty, one of the great variety acts of our time. My great interest in them, of course, stems from childhood, because as a poor boy in Liverpool, and I don't need to tell you I'm a Liverpudlian, I used to go to all the theatres. My great idol was Bransby Williams, the Dickens man. And his was the first autograph I ever got. And the second was Lucan and McShane. I went along to the Liverpool Pavilion to see this wonderful act, Old Mother Riley and her daughter Kitty. And I'd never seen anything like it. And I remember staying outside the stage door till well after midnight to see if I could catch this remarkable couple coming out the stage door, but they must have gone out another way, so I never ever did catch them then. But I subsequently got their autographs, and I followed their adventures ever since. The remarkable thing was, of course, that old Mother Riley was not a woman, nor indeed Irish. He was born in Lincolnshire. But you see, no one ever questioned him. I remember when I eventually joined with old Mother Riley in his show, I remember when we went to Ireland a couple of times, he was just that bit dodgy as to whether people might say, well, you know, he's not Irish. But nobody ever questioned him, because so wonderful was his interpretation. Kitty was a genuine colleen, and she was born in Dublin, and Arthur's real name was Towel. But so the story goes that Kitty's parents had a dairy in Dublin called the Lucan Dairy, and apparently Arthur went to Ireland as a young man in a touring review, and the comic took sick, and old Mother Riley was born.
I'm a police officer.
How nice. My husband was a special constable in the ARP during the Boer War.
I must ask you to come along with us to the station for questions.
Mother, what's the matter?
A new game called 20 Questions.
We just want your mother to accompany us to the station.
You can't arrest my mother. She hasn't done anything wrong.
This isn't an arrest. I want a question, yes?
Quite all right, Doctor. A little bit of third degree. Easy. I'll go quietly if you'll let me change my party frock, because I don't suppose you'll be taking me to a picnic.
An intriguing couple, and of course they led a very stormy life on stage, the outraged mother and the daughter who would stay out canoodling till the early hours, and but the life off stage was just as tempestuous on. As I say, the course of true love never did run smooth. Arthur, as I say, was a fine artist. He started out as a male entertainer, of course, but strange enough, although so typically Irish, he came from Sibsey, a small village in Lincolnshire. He was a Lincolnshire yellow belly, and not so long ago the local authorities contacted me with the intention of putting a plaque up on his birthplace. There it is, a delightful little cottage in Sibsey in Lincolnshire. However, there was some difficulty because the gentleman that owned the establishment, he used it to keep some of his equipment in, and he felt that it wasn't on to distort it by having plaques. So in the end they had to drop the idea. Quite a shame, really. And of course, from there Arthur went to success. Whenever we went about the country, crowds used to appear at the stage door, but the tragedy for me perhaps was at the very final knockings, he would come out of the stage door, we would come out together, and there would be nobody waiting. This is when he split up with Kitty, and it was terrible to see this person who'd been a great idol now really no longer wanted. Of course, by this time the act had split up, and Kitty had gone her own way. In fact, there were two Old Mother Riley shows running at the same time. Ours called Going Gay, and Kitty took a show out called With a Shillelagh Under My Arm, with Georgie Beck, a very fine impersonator, playing the part of Old Mother Riley.
Mother Riley coming up, over to you. Get ready. Hey, just a minute. That's to start me off, not finish me off. Listen, I want to go that way, not that way.
Oh, sorry. 1, 2.
That was a false start. Get set.
False start, indeed. There's nothing false about me, and that includes my set.
Here, let me have a look at that egg. Here, don't bobby the bell.
Well, you got it glued on. Well, so I have. Oh, it's my Rhode Island red.
Ready? 1, 2.
Just started.
Yes, of course, Lucan and McShane had two favourite sketches. The old matches, where the old match seller played by Arthur meets the disappointed bride who's just been jilted, and of course Bridget's Night Out, which was the classic, so much so that they appeared in the Royal Variety performance at the London Palladium, and which was the hit of the show. Then they never looked back. In short, soon they were very much in demand as film stars. Everyone went to see the Old Mother Riley films, and even today on a Saturday morning the kids go to the matinees to see this delightful Old Mother Riley. They starred at all the great theatres, and when I joined Old Mother Riley, of course, it was the epitome of my career, shall we say, to actually act as feed and straight man to this great artist. Kitty had by then gone her own way, of course, and it was left to myself and Roy Roland and Slim Ingram and Gail Douglas, who was a very talented lady and acted as the Lady Feed. But it was strange, really, to think that all those years and all those wonderful times they had, and yet they both had to end in poverty, really, because they lived larger than life. As soon as they had any money, they spent it, really. I think prodigiously. Their shows were always lavishly mounted, and they were great ones for giving money to charity. And in the end, of course, they very needed charity themselves. The last time I saw Kitty was a few years after Arthur had died, and she was still doing the old Mother Riley sketch, but this time with Will and Neil.
If you ever go across the sea to Ireland, then maybe at the closing of your day, you will sit and watch the moon rise over Clada and see the sun go down on Galway Bay. Just to hear again the ripple of the trout stream, the women in the meadow making hay, and to sit beside a tar fire in the cabin and watch the barefoot Gaston as they play. Oh, the strangers came and tried to teach us their ways. They scorned us just for being what we are. Oh, they might as well go chasing after moonbeams, or light a penny candle from a star. And if there is going to be a great hereafter, and somehow I am sure there's going to be, I shall ask my God to let me make my heaven in that dear land across the Irish
Oh, I will take you home, Kathleen, to where your heart will feel no pain, and when the fields are fresh and green,
Of course, they soon became film stars. Not that they made a great many, perhaps only a dozen or so, but they were constantly shown and reissued, as I say, mentioned before, all the kids' matinees. And but there was one intriguing thing, as I say, old Mother Riley, once he'd matured, was not the usual type of female impersonator. He was never ever seen as a man, except, strangely enough, in a film, if I remember, called Old Mother Riley's Ghosts, where he played a double part. He played the part of Old Mother Riley, and also he played a gangster. and they were going to rob a big house. And so we had this peculiar-looking fellow who was one of the gang, who then donned the motley and masqueraded as the old Mother Riley. So you would have the old Mother Riley coming out the room and the fake one rushing in. Was rather intriguing. They made quite some interesting films, though about the last one that Arthur made was on his own. That is to say, without Kitty. It was called Old Mother Riley Meets the Vampire, where he played with Bela Lugosi. And according to Roy Roland, who was a great friend of them both, in fact, I would say he kept them together, really. He was the whipping boy. He tells me that in the very final analysis, the last 2 or 3 films, they hardly spoke to one another. They would have their bits and pieces photographed separately, you know, perhaps in different rooms or on different sets, and brought together by the magic of the camera, but really not cohabiting, which was perhaps a great tragedy. And I remember once when I went with old Mother Riley to see a film, we were playing The Empire Swindon, and we went to the local Odeon, and it was so full, on a Saturday morning, it was so full of kids that after Arthur had done a bit of a turn on the stage, he went to find a seat to sit down, and it was so absolutely crowded, we had to sit on the circle stairs to see the film. Absolutely packed with kids.
Past the calling Robert Mark I, we'll go in search for the woman Riley.
You'll swear you can't laugh so loud and so long. You'll take an oath you're going bats.
Like bats?
Oh, I hate them. They give me cold shivers up and down my brisket.
Here's a star combination that surely can't be beaten. Arthur Lucan as that mistress of mirth, old Mother Riley, challenges that master of the macabre, Bela Lugosi. The result is shattering. And new to a Mother Riley film is that delightful dumb blonde Dora Bryan and beautiful Maria Mercedes with a hilarious supporting cast.
It's locked. Oh, I'm getting scared.
Scared? I'd like to see a lot of men scare me. I remember the time down at the old Bull and...
Julia, darling. You had better lock that young man up somewhere until we can dispose of him.
Roy Roland, of course, is the very reincarnation of old Mother Riley, and perhaps it's a great shame if at the very final end of the old Mother Riley story that Roy wasn't there to share it. A great shame. What happened was this, you see. I was working for Gaston Andree, who were very famous as masters of posing, you see. However, they took out the review Old Mother Riley in Paris, starring Arthur Lucan. And we played, it's a good business everywhere, and we left the Theatre Royal Barnsley, and on May the 17th, 1954, we went to the Tivoli Theatre Hull. And Old Mother Riley in Paris was, as you can imagine, Arthur having a go there with the gendarmes and getting in all kinds of scrapes. We had a row of lovely chorus girls, and this fateful evening, the show opened with as soon as the curtains went up, da-da-dum-da-dum-da-da, diddly-dum-de-dum-da, the boys and girls came dancing across the stage, and then the comedy mayor, myself with the tricorn hat and a long red cloak, I came downstage, and after a bit of badinage, I announced Old Mother Riley. Well, Arthur had been standing just over to the edge of me, behind his cottage door. And when I turned round to say, Old Mother Riley, blow me if he didn't fall down behind this door. I was absolutely perplexed. The stage manager had the courage of mind to bring the tabs to. And I had to go in front of the curtain and say to the audience, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a slight mishap. The show will go on in a minute or two. But of course Arthur had taken his last call. We carried him back to his dressing room, and although Roy wasn't with us, while I was explaining to the audience that we'd had a mishap, Frank Seaton, a distinguished actor, but not a female impersonator at all, but nevertheless who'd been understudying Arthur, he took on the mantle of Old Mother Riley, and the show went on as arranged. The audience weren't told that Arthur had passed away, but it's a funny thing, somebody must have told them, because during the interval I got a call from London asking if Old Mother Riley had actually died on stage. Very tragic. And Kitty came up from London, and Arthur was buried. A dramatic touch was Kitty weeping and throwing some of Arthur's old washerwoman outfit on top of the coffin. And Arthur's not forgotten, because our dear friend Larry Grayson did take a picture of the grave, and Larry has promised to put flowers perpetually on the grave, and so at least we are sure that Old Mother Riley won't easily be forgotten. Yes, and here then is the final bill, the Tivoli Theatre Hall, Old Mother Riley in Paris. Here we all are, with Ellis Ashton playing the Lord Mayor and the convict. Yes, very dramatic. But of course, really, the point was, I say that's the final bill, but of course Arthur wasn't seen, as he died first house Monday night before the public actually saw him. So his last appearance was at the Theatre Royal Barnsley. So the end of a great artist and the finish of a wonderful variety act which went all over the country, finishing up playing before the King at the London Palladium. What a shame that we shall see it no more.